I'm Lauren with Pack Hacker, and in this video we're taking a detailed look at the Timbuk2 Wingman travel backpack duffel, which I've been testing for the last 2 weeks. If you found this video helpful, hit subscribe so we can keep making content to help you travel smarter. Let's dive in. Overall, this pack is pretty durable. So Timbuk2 doesn't list the materials on their website at the time of this review, but we did reach out to them and they mentioned that it is made with a Cordura canvas and a rubberized nylon canvas. So essentially what that means is that this here is like a softer material that's like a traditional backpack material, and then this base and then this top part here as well are kind of like a TPU almost feeling, which makes them more weather resistant and abrasion resistant as well, especially on the bottom of this pack here. This being, mostly what you're going to be putting on the ground. That makes it pretty durable. And then this back side is just that regular nylon material. So over kind of the course of the bag here, it's got a duffel backpack look to it, and that's exactly how you're going to be carrying this thing. There are a couple carry handles across the bag. We have this one on the top, which I actually really liked this handle. I feel like not a lot of bags have a handle right in the dead center, and it was nice to just kind of like lift it from one side to the other. Right now it's a little bit heavy for me. I don't have a ton of upper body strength, but I was able to use like a side handle as well. So you have these 2 or 3 handles and then the one on the top. You also have attachment loops across all of this, so there's a lot of like space to hang things on the outside of this bag too. Kind of has almost like a tactical look, even though it's not like a tactical bag. Maybe not going to be everybody's style, but I personally dig it. You can see I've got some cat hair around this bag here. It was actually much worse, and then I just took a lint roller to it and it came off pretty easily. I did leave some hairs in there so you could see that they don't stick on super hard, so you could just brush them off. My cats just like to sit on whatever bag I'm testing, as cat owners know. There's also this little Timbuk2 logo at the bottom here, which is a loop, so you can use you can hang like a bike light here or something like that if you want. But overall, it's pretty simple. On the outside here, just some sleek carry handles. They lay pretty flat against the bag when you're not using them, and the materials have held up super well for me. You can carry this bag a couple of different ways, so we're going to start off with backpack mode. This has traditional backpack straps, as you would expect, but they do detach with gatekeeper clips here, and you just sort of pinch it and they'll detach. As you can see, I have an issue with gatekeeper clips, and that's just a general issue that I have, but I did find that these ones could be a little bit tough to get engaged. And then if you don't want to carry with the backpack straps, you can stick them in this back panel pocket. And so this is another example of an issue that I had. When this bag is like really fully packed to the brim, any additional pockets that there are where you would like stick something flatter or skinnier in there, it's going to be a little bit harder to get those flat and skinny items in there. Have the same issue with the backpack, the laptop pocket, which we'll get into in a second. And then there's also this little hip belt here, which fully hides away if you're not using it. I like this because you can actually adjust this padding super easily, and so you can kind of find a comfortable resting spot on your hips. However, with this being tucked away into the back panel, like I mentioned, with it kind of starting to bow out, it got just kind of hard to tuck in there. And then when it was tucked in there, it's pretty wide and I could feel it against my back. It wasn't particularly uncomfortable, but they're not detachable if you don't want to use them in a general sense. So you do just kind of have to deal with it. And then we do have an adjustable sternum strap as well. This is the bag when it's in backpack mode. So the shoulder straps are relatively beefy, not overly so, but I feel like they do a pretty solid job at controlling the weight that you have on your body. I definitely feel when this bag is packed out completely full, I definitely want this hip belt to just give me a little bit of extra support because it helps keep some weight off of my shoulders. There aren't any load lifters or anything like that, so you don't have like an additional lift. The sternum strap helps a ton as well, but it is removable if you don't want to use it. So it's totally up to you. But this is definitely my preferred way of carry. I didn't really find myself needing to tuck away the straps or anything like that, just because I didn't really need to, but with this hip belt being so movable, it's really nice. And then there are strap keepers as well to manage that extra strap. So I think the harness system is done pretty well for a bag of this size. This is the bag in duffel mode. So to me, this just looks goofy. It looks like it's uncomfortable, and it is. So with this strap here, I have this adjusted as much as possible, and it still just feels really long. I feel like with this shape, I almost need it to be lifted a little bit higher on my hip. Granted, I am shorter and I have a shorter torso. I'm 5'6" and I have a 16-inch torso. So if you're a little bit taller, this might not be a huge issue for you, but I just feel like with the shape of this bag, it just feels a little bit odd to have a duffel mode with it, and to have the duffel mode attaching at the top here just doesn't really feel super fluid to me personally. I pretty much, like I mentioned, carried this in backpack mode just because this mode wasn't super comfortable for me. Your mileage may vary. The strap itself is pretty well padded, so it's more of just how it feels when it's on me versus like any strap comfort or anything like that. I don't think there's like too much room for improvement there or anything, and it's really adjustable. Just feels like a pretty decent fit. Before we get into the secondary compartments, I want to show you how these straps detach when you have it in duffel mode, or so yes, duffel mode. So you just use the gatekeeper clip, same as normal, but I do find that with this, at least in my version here, once you actually get it secured, it can be kind of hard to like lock it into place. You can see me struggling with it a little bit. I just felt like once I got it there, I had to also lift up to really like feel it secure. I did have a couple of times when I first attached it where it popped off, so that is something to keep in mind. And then I'm just gonna set this off to the side here. Just wanted to be sure to mention that. So starting off with the laptop compartment, this is one of two. This one here fits up to a 17-inch laptop, if I could grab it and open it for you. We have these nice paracord zipper pulls, which is really great. In here, I have a 13-inch laptop, and so I'm gonna take that out really quick, but you can see that this back panel is like curving because of everything that I have in it. You can kind of see it when I put the bag down flat, like if you look at it from the front, it just has like a rounded shape to it. And so when I put the laptop in here, it doesn't go all the way down to the bottom unless I like really shove it in there. So it can fit a 17-inch, but it might be a little bit tight if you have this fully packed out, so that's something to keep in mind. The other laptop compartment is on the top here, and this is designed for a 13-inch. So you can put whatever you want in here. It doesn't need to be a laptop, but this almost gives the bag like a flatter shape on the front, which is kind of nice if you like that boxy rectangular shape that this bag sort of naturally has. Just really emphasizes that, but there's no like additional padding or anything crazy like that in there. So I'm gonna set this off to the side. Another pocket that we have is on this front here. This is just a tiny little like quick grab pocket. This is a good spot for like a wallet. I have headphones in here as well. This little mesh pocket is like diagonal, and it's, I don't know, it's big enough to like fit a phone or something like that if you want to put your phone in here, but it just basically keeps some items from just getting lost in this pocket. But I just ended up putting like my keys down at the bottom, and then I would keep a second half of items up at the top. So you can kind of customize the space in there. And then there is a pocket up top here as well, which I have a phone in. So this is pretty much the size of this lid, maybe a little bit smaller, and really good for just like flat quick grab items, like you could do like a wallet or something like that. And then we have this bottom pocket, which is like a good shoe pocket. So this is essentially just like the bottom chunk of the bag. You can put other items in here. You don't have to put shoes, but this is a really easy like wipeable material. So I really recommend putting an additional pair of shoes in here. I went camping and I just put like shower sandal type things in there, or anything that would just get a little bit dirtier. And then it was away from all the stuff in my bag, which I think is a really cool feature to have in duffels specifically, because duffels just feel so much like a big dump pocket that it's nice to have a separate pocket for that. Like I said though, if you don't want to use it for shoes, you can really use it for anything. And then the last pocket that we have, I always seem to lose. It is back here, and it is the water bottle pocket. So you'll see it once we get into the main compartment, but this one here, I believe is like a 32-ounce Yeti. Let me look at that. Well, it doesn't say on it, but it's like one of these really big Yetis. It might even be 40 ounces, honestly, but that fits in there with room to spare. So if you like big bottles, then that's gonna be a great pocket for you. As you can see, it was a little bit tough to get in and out of it. It can be a little bit stiff on the edges because of the kind of frame sheet as like we get onto the inside, I'll show you. But it is pretty roomy. It just cuts into that main compartment space. All right, we're gonna get into the main compartment, but first I wanna show you this water bottle going back inside so you can get a feel for it. It doesn't go all the way down like the side of the bag, the zipper doesn't. So if you wanted to stick your bottle in, you kinda gotta shove it that way, like start from here and go this way. To me, that's a little counterintuitive because this is, like when the bag is up, it's this way. And that means that this zipper is down at the bottom. But in order for me to put my water bottle in there, I almost want to have grip on the handle and wedge it in. But if you do that, just because then it's easier to get out, but then if you do that, then you're just kind of like, you got to shove it from the base, and then the water bottle is upside down if you don't. So just a little bit, I don't know, clunky for me personally. But I didn't find myself using this pocket a ton. You could also just use it for other gear. It doesn't need to be a water bottle. So that's pretty nice. But getting into the main compartment itself, if we open this up, it's a little lid opening here, and then you have access to everything on the inside. So I'm actually gonna turn it this way so that it's technically not upside down for you. So in here I have just a toiletry kit, and then I have an extra layer. There's a mesh pocket on this side, as you can see. This is great for like flatter items. I didn't like packing this out too much because then it starts to cut into this space here, especially this laptop compartment. So on their page, they show you can put like an iPad in here or something, but if you have this pocket open, you could also just put it there, and then your laptop and the bigger one. You know, obviously your mileage is gonna vary with what you put in these, but I ended up putting, so you can see like a flatter layer, or like once I had some like used socks or something like that, I would just keep them separate in here. So kind of up to you what you wanna do with it. You can also just ignore it completely because it's super flat and not in the way. And then when you get into this main compartment here, you can see all of this extra material. This is that water bottle pocket. So if I, one more time, put this water bottle in here, you can see how much space it's taking up, and that is cutting into any sort of clothing storage space. So if you are not someone who drinks a ton of water, you can definitely just ignore this pocket entirely. It can just be a little bit annoying to deal with this extra fabric, but in the scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. So we do have here, I would say one of the more like interesting features of this bag is this compression like mesh lid essentially. So we have two little clips here where you can just unclip really easily to give it a little bit of slack, or you can just adjust as you go. But basically this cinches it down a little bit more, but because it's only attached to the actual mesh itself, and then the mesh attaches with little hooks to some webbing on the side of the pack. So I'm gonna move this, actually this way you can see me unhook it a little bit easier. Like when you wanna hook it over, you just hook it around that little loop. When you're done, you can just take it off. So there's a lot of modular attachment sizes here. I have this packed out. I honestly could have fit even more gear in here. There's a lot of clothing. So if you're someone who doesn't like packing cubes, this is a great option because you can just stick everything in here and still keep it locked down. So when you're carrying this in backpack mode or shifting from backpack mode to duffel mode, your stuff's not flying all over the place. And it does keep it locked down pretty well. When I went camping, I had this packed out like basically to capacity, and I was still able to put it fully over and cinch it tight. So it works really, really well, but it's not removable. So if you wanted to not use it, you could just hook it along these loops. As you can see, it's not easy to just do in a pinch. And then you could theoretically just like tighten this a bunch, and then it just kind of hangs out on the bottom. I don't know, I kind of would have liked the option to remove it if you don't want it, but also if you don't want this particular feature of the bag, maybe that would be a selling point to not get the bag. Or you can, like I said, just put it on the bottom and sort of ignore it. The only other issue I had with this was when it was fully packed out, it could be kind of hard to find these hooks. Like my clothing was almost covering it. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Overall, functions pretty well though, just takes some getting used to. So there you have it, the Timbuk2 Wingman Travel Backpack Duffel. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel, and we'll see you in the next one.